This long debate of the rights of men versus those of elite rulers arrived at a watershed moment in history during the late 1700s. It was during this time that true giants of human intellect, men of great brilliance, were examining and making discoveries in all areas of knowledge. And it was during this time that a small group of Americans, now if you're a historian, Bob, I am simplifying this some because I'm trying to get to some core points. So I do know it's not quite this simple, or this beautiful, sweet little picture. But there was this small group of Americans who came to a very stunning realization. It was as if our founding fathers stood on a high hill in history in which they could look back over the past. And they were very knowledgeable of history and of the nature of men. They were people who believed in reality, and they believed in a real God, and they believed in the Scriptures, and they examined history in the light of the Scriptures, and they came to some conclusions. They voiced an outstanding understanding of the true nature of man and of this real world. These men then sat down and penned these words that we now hold so dear. They wrote, "We hold these true," until people began to understand who they really were and that there was a birthright that they could fight for. They then had, the people that hungered for freedom, then had a solid foundation on which they could stand in opposition to the abuse of authority. The battle that is at its peak right now is over something that we just described called a birthright. It's your birthright. It's whether you are white, black, brown, rich, poor, educated, ignorant, doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter where you are the rightful owner of that great treasure. Unalienable rights. Millions are not even aware of this treasure. As I mentioned, many in the Muslim world think the very concept of freedom is evil. They don't want it. There are many others, atheists, socialists, different ones that think freedom of choice is one of the greatest evils there is. But I think all of you know a different truth, the real truth. It's soon going to be decided, though, whether or not these benefits of this great birthright are going to be stripped from you and your children. Each of you here tonight has a role in that battle. You will have to determine who wins at this time. War won't be over. It'll continue to rise one way or another. But for this time, the time to which you're called, the time for which you have a responsibility, your time, you get to play a role. We're all bit actors in it. We all have small parts. But because there is a greater power, a true sovereign who oversees it, and because he is good, there's hope that all these bit parts come together and form a massive movement, which is what we're seeing right now in this country. This fight with tyranny, this battle that's been going on so long, your children and your grandchildren are the prize that the victor will carry away from the battlefield. This is not just about you individually. We each have responsibilities that go far beyond ourselves. It is time that we understood the true nature of this fight, the solid footing on which we stand, and the significance of our birthright in the world today, and then make a decision to join the fray. Many of these faces I recognize. I've seen you at other events. Some of you travel from distance. Some of you I've never met. But most all of you are here because you've recognized that call to battle. You've heard the cry, and you've responded. And my purpose tonight is to create in you an encouragement that as Sheriff Matt comes and he shares the message that he has as he plays his part in this battle, that you'll be encouraged, that you'll know that what you have and you're fighting for is worth it. And not just for you, but for many others. It's time to get angry. And more than that, it's time to get involved. I want you to know something. if you're the ones joining the Tea Parties and the 9/12 Projects and the Freedom Firsts and all these groups, you're not the radical. You're not the revolutionary. You're not the one that's disrupting and tearing up good things. You're the defenders of what is right. You're the defenders of not just a heritage that was fought and bled for you by those who went before us. You're the defenders of a universal truth that all men are endowed by their Creator with unalienable rights. You're not just fighting for yourselves or your families. You're fighting for men all over the world, everywhere. There are people in the other parts of the world that they hunger for freedom even though they don't dare say it. And they look to the United States still, even with all its scars, its warts, its ugliness, its corruption, and they still see a land of freedom. And they reach out, they are watching you right now. And they say, if those people won't stand up and defend their freedoms, if they can't win, what chance do I have? There are millions of people, probably billions of people all over the world that are watching us right now to see, do we value freedom? Do we value these unalienable rights? Are we willing to pay the price and the sacrifices our fathers and forefathers made? Will we do it? They're watching you. And what you do in the days ahead are critical to those people as well. There are those who are even at this hour are scheming to take away our freedoms and enslave you to their will. These are the radicals. These are the real revolutionaries. These are the thieves and robbers who have snuck in the middle of the night while we slept and have laid their hands on our heritage, our very institutions, and all that we've held dear, and proceeded to wipe out our history, proceeded to destroy our families, to rob us of our property, to rob us of prosperity, and to enslave us and get rid of everything that is truly good and righteous. These are the evil. These are the ones that we stand in opposition to because they are the ones that have come to steal and kill and destroy. And when they do that, you know what side they're on. Look around at what they call, what they do. Everything they're doing is destroying. It's limiting. It's not giving anyone freedom. Never has. Never will be, because it's not about freedom. It's about power. Don't ever misunderstand the words that they speak. They can sound so smooth, so wonderful, and their lies don't fall for them. In this age, where truth is laughed at, and your history is being erased, destiny has turned to you, and it has placed in your hands the torch of freedom. And it has told you to hold it high and to go forward. It is time, right now, when you see such duplicity on the part of our politicians, you're seeing cowardice on the parts of our state governments. It's now fallen to you to lift up the banner, to take the flag and the torch. And it's time for you to embrace courage and to fearlessly defend true American liberty and freedom, shamelessly and without regret. There's plenty of fear to go around. There's plenty of doubt. I got to hear Newt Gingrich last Thursday night saying something I've been saying for weeks. You hear it all over now. There's no guarantee that we're going to win this fight. The shame comes if you don't fight it. If we go down fighting and get beat, okay, we got beat. But my head's going to be held high. And I'll be standing right there with you as we hold our heads high and we say, if you steal it, you've got to take it out of my hands. I will not give it to you.